Hello again. One of the things which I've noticed when looking at resources specifically prepared for children and which will supposedly educate them about Black history in this country is that they often contain fake history. Sometimes this is done clumsily and in a way which is obvious to anybody who knows anything at all about British history. But on other occasions, the thing is done in a very cunning and indirect way. I thought that I would look at examples of both methods so that viewers will see how this is done and that they can then understand how the children are being indoctrinated. This book was published last year by Dorling Kindersley, now owned by Penguin Books, and it's been snapped up by children's libraries and schools. I'll give a link to the Amazon listing for it in the description to this video. It's called The Black Curriculum Legacies, Black British Pioneers. I took this copy out from the local children's library this morning. Let me start by giving an instance of the first type of lie, the quite blatant and completely untruthful statement. On page 38, we read, "During the Crimean War, Mary Seacole set up the British Hotel, a place where wounded soldiers could rest and recover." And here we see a picture of a wounded soldier in bed, resting and recovering at the British Hotel. Now, this is a barefaced lie, and one which is easy enough to dispose of. The British Hotel was an expensive restaurant which only officers were permitted to use. The idea of wounded soldiers staying there is absurd. There were no beds for one thing. Look at this picture of Mary Seacole tending a wounded soldier in bed. That never happened at all. That is a complete and direct lie. The British Hotel specialised in lobsters, champagne, cigars and that sort of thing for officers. No ordinary soldier, either wounded or unwounded, was allowed in the place. So much for the direct lie. Let's look now at the more subtle way of putting across an untruth, which is done by implication. I'm looking now at page 76. Listen to this. You may notice that in these books we have focused on Black British history. That's Black history from England, Wales and Scotland. This is why you'll notice us talking about Britain, which is made up of England, Wales and Scotland. We're not referring to the UK, which is made up of Britain and Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland itself has so much black history that we need a whole separate book to cover it properly. Yes, let me just repeat that last sentence. Northern Ireland itself has so much black history that we need a whole separate book to cover it properly. Now, I spent time in Northern Ireland in different parts of the province. The last time I was there was just after Operation Motorman, when the no-go areas were cleared out. That was the summer of 1972. I can truthfully say that at that time, and I visited different parts of Northern Ireland, I did not see a single black person in Northern Ireland then, other than the occasional British soldier. I don't believe that Northern Ireland has any black history at all. Certainly not until a few years ago. You see how skillfully this is done. No specific lies are told, but the implication is that if they took the trouble to do so, the authors of this book could write an entire book about the black history of Northern Ireland. Are any viewers here from Northern Ireland? Did they see any black people in the province in the 1960s or 1970s? I would very much like to see a book written about the black history of Northern Ireland before the turn of the millennium, that is, when of course everything changed across the whole of the kingdom. Anybody watching this who has young relatives at school will probably have some idea about the relentless propaganda to which children are exposed on this subject. I could say a good deal more about this awful book, but I think you get the idea.